Hello and welcome to Knobcat Games Dungeons of the Obelisk podcast. I'm your host, Joe Sleppy. I'm Executive Prime at Knobcat Games, and this podcast is our audio devlog where we get together every 2 weeks and we talk about what's new in our game, which is Dungeons of the Obelisk, which is a 2D turn-based dungeon crawling loot grinding adventure. And I'm joined today by our digital alchemist, TJ Yadacernia.
Hello.
We kind of talked about this before we recorded. I'm not sure if this one's going to come out like after Thanksgiving or not, but I guess for the listener it doesn't really matter. But there is going to be probably like a little bit of a gap and stuff with the holidays coming up, which I guess kind of tells people, everybody's biggest question for us is like, when are they going to be able to play the game? So it kind of looks like we're going to be into next year at this point, which is crazy. Do you remember like when at the beginning of this year when we talked about it and we were like hoping it would be done in like June?
Yeah, the goal of timing is always so tough. I feel like there's never enough time to actually get things done, and the date you set is never going to be the actual date you end up with.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people understand that because of like all the AAA games that promise a release date and then miss them.
Yeah.
That's pretty like standard nowadays. For us, I've said this the whole time, but it's worth like reiterating. Like I don't want to post a date until we know that the game is going to be ready at that date. So we're just kind of working on it as hard as we can. And then when it's ready, we'll put up the test realm, and then I'm sure we're going to find a ton of stuff wrong once we open it up to like some people testing from the Discord. And then once we resolve all that stuff, we'll have a date and stuff posted. As always, the Discord's going to be the main place for people to keep up on that, and this podcast, of course.
Yeah, stuff like that. You always run the risk of a bad release if you try to do things too early. I feel like this has been happening more and more. AAA games will just stick to the release date they said. They release the game in an unfinished state. People obviously buy it because it's a AAA game and they think, oh yeah, AAA, guaranteed quality. But then it fails, it drops off, the game doesn't do as well as they expect it to.
Yeah, that's what we want to avoid. We want the game to be ready when it comes out. So as soon as it's like live and public on Steam, I want the game to be like playable and stuff, because we don't want to lose that goodwill. When the game goes live, we're going to have a lot of people like discovering the game, I think, on Steam and stuff, because due to like Brittany's campaign and stuff that we hopefully get launched and everything. So we'll have a lot of new people, and we don't want those new people to jump in and then the game is broken.
Yeah, I always want to avoid a bad start.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's worth putting it off as long as it needs to be to make sure it's done. That being said, we are getting low on the budget, so we might end up having to like pause or something, depending on how that goes. But we're hoping we get it done with what we have left, and then we can get it out, and we'll worry about that, I guess, as it comes up. But just so the listeners know where we're at, I think that's important.
Yeah, I still have my hopes on having a demo ready by that time, because in terms of tasks, we're getting really close. Like the newest thing, the chat system, is actually going along a lot smoother than I originally thought it would be.
Which is some awesome news. That's kind of the last major thing, because basically like seeing people in town is working, seeing player profiles is working. We're like on the edge with the friend requests kind of thing, and then the chat, and then with the chat I think we'll be like this is kind of a smaller thing with it. If we don't get it working, it's probably fine, but like the announcements when people find like a legendary item and stuff, that'll probably come with the chat.
Yeah, luckily the whole chat thing runs on Photon, and they set it up in like the easiest way possible, unlike PlayFab. It was just as simple as get on their site, get the downloadables from them, put it onto Unity, and then once you create like a small little thing on their site, it just immediately works.
That's awesome. Does it run through like their server then?
Yes, it does. There was a option to get it to cross between PlayFab and Photon itself. I kind of looked at it, I was thinking to myself, that's good if we didn't use Unity.
Right.
But since we are using Unity, the easiest form of it is just run it through Photon on its own. And then, like, they run everything for us, so the only thing I have to do is just say, connect to this thing. And then it just immediately starts working.
Yeah, and I assume at some point we'll have to put a credit card in.
Yeah, it starts off with, I was trying to look into it more, 20 CCUs, which for them means concurrent users. So in the current state, it's only for testing, because like only 20 people at most could use it at one time.
Yeah, which will be plenty even for the test realm, probably.
Yeah, I feel like that might be enough, and then on actual release, you definitely want to bump that up. I think they go from like 100, 1,000, 10,000 or something.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that later, I think, with the actual prices and stuff, so I know what's coming with that. But that is good to know that, like, we're going to have our chat and it's essentially working.
Yeah, and like all the other features should be pretty easy to toss in as well, because they have it set up for private texts as well, which I know is one of the plans, so you can like, talk to specific people on your friends list if you wanted to.
Yeah, for sure. We want to have like a global chat, announcements, and then like private messages to other players, I guess, that are on your friends list. And then obviously this one's not in game yet, but down the line we'll have like a guild chat, obviously, once we add guilds, which aren't in the game yet.
The long-term goals of the chat.
Yeah, but it sounds like it will be able to handle that just fine.
Yeah, if things keep going as they are, then I don't expect the chat to give us any problems long-term.
That's a relief. that's like the biggest. I thought maybe that would be really difficult, but
yeah, I was afraid it was going to be. Looking at it, it's just like, oh yeah, add on this whole new program called Photon. It's like it's going to be the entirety of PlayFab all over again.
So what's left to do? Like basically like skin their stuff with our assets?
Yeah, like I gotta go through it, and they have their own little text boxes and other things, swap out the assets and resize it for ours. Because their whole text box is the size of the screen, we gotta have it tiny little one. And then I gotta make sure that like send and receive works for the player, because it works on the system, works on the server.
Yeah.
I just gotta make sure that like if you send a message, do I receive it? And if I send you a message, do you receive it? And does the text channel like save the messages? Like how far back can you read before it starts to delete old messages?
I feel like it doesn't have to be that long. Like if it costs more to save the old history, then we can definitely like think about what we want to save. But I mean, even if it went back like a week or something and then deleted anything older than that, that would be plenty for like a guild chat and like a friend chat and stuff. Because if you're not talking to someone like, you know, for months and then you want to have your old history, I feel like that's a lot to expect.
Yeah.
Like other games I've played don't have that, so
I gotta check where the texts are going, because it does get sent to the server, but I don't know where. So, like a user can see old messages to a certain degree, but then for us, when we're trying to look at it for management and other things, like I'm not sure where these messages go. Maybe they just kind of get deleted on their end.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe it might be important for us to have like some type of system in place where if we wanted to check the logs of messages, then it is available to us.
Yeah, we do definitely want to have that. I wonder if it has like functionality for like adding mods and stuff. Mods being like moderators.
I'm actually not sure.
Because that is something that usually ends up happening in games, like having to give people like a little bit of power to like ban users and stuff that start spamming chat and everything. Because, you know, with chat comes all those issues.
Yeah, I wonder if it might just be a case where might have to add simplified automatic versions, like a timer that prevents you from sending a certain degree of messages in a certain time.
Yeah, like a slow chat and stuff.
I know there is a automatic filter that Photon has built in, which should make our lives a lot easier for that.
Oh, good. Yeah, I know we were messing with that with usernames and stuff. I never even tried putting in a bad username. Is that...
I've turned it off because it was having weird issues. Like, if you typed in the word assassin, it would flag it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking just, if we had a simplified one where if it gets the keywords kind of on its own, then it'll sense it and trigger it. But I don't know, I was having issues with it.
Yeah, we can talk about that a little more too, because like I feel like assassin like isn't much of a bad word. Like I probably wouldn't even bleep ass on the podcast, but like we could probably make it. There's not very many words that are legitimate words that also have the F word or the N word in them.
Yeah.
You know, so
true.
we could probably make it block those ones, and then if ass gets let through, that's probably fine.
Yeah, it's like it's really not that bad of a word, so I'd be fine passing it through.
Yeah, I think that would be fine, and then obviously we'll have stuff in the terms of service, the license agreement and stuff, and if we feel we need to change someone's name, then we can do that. Right now in the game, there's not even any function for changing your name, is there?
Oh yeah, there isn't. Yeah, because we have the scroll, but that doesn't let you change your name, just your appearance.
Yeah, that's something that like I don't think we need right away, but down the line we'll probably add like a scroll that's like a name change certificate.
Yeah, I know people regret naming their account certain things over time, especially when you're younger, like Ultra Cool Dude 76 or something.
Yeah, I mean it is possible to go in and edit usernames, right?
Yeah, I'm able to manually edit them if I need to.
Okay, that's good, because then that keeps people from like having, you know, if somebody does make an inappropriate name, we can just change it.
Instead of just banning them.
Right, yeah, because you log in with your email and your password, so your character's name is separate from that, so you can still log in and then your character's name will be different. So that's my plan for that. If it becomes an issue, we'll try to figure something else out, but for now I think that we can take care of stuff that way.
We'll just have to think of a list of generic names, or just name them
Yeah.
like Dodo Character 1, Dodo Character 2.
On Bit Heroes, whenever they did they had this like, without getting into it, there was like a whole thing where they were electing people and stuff into like positions and stuff. So if you wanted to apply and you had like an inappropriate name, they would change the person's name. And my one friend was named Long Dong Gamer, which apparently wasn't bad enough that it like caught any filters or anything, because he was named that for a long time, but then whenever it came like with this public thing, they changed him to Gifted Gamer.
Oh, that's no fun.
I thought it was hilarious.
An absolute downgrade of a name right there.
But if you knew his original name, it makes it funny. Trying to think about what else we have to talk about. That's mostly it for like what you've been working on. Oh yeah, companions in town. We were having like issues where the player could log in and the character was fine on the server. You could see other people's characters, but the companions were wonky and like weren't following them around properly.
Yeah, as it stands, it should still be like that. I had to kind of take a pause on it because kind of hit a point on it where it's like, this isn't working at the moment. I gotta stop doing this and focus on something a bit more important. I think the issue seems to be coming in with the animation, because each companion has its own animator, but the system doesn't like it when you swap animators. So when it comes to the network animator, because you want to tell it to swap it from, let's say, Mr. Donut to the Glub companion, it would just give an error and kind of crash it. So I figured I'll put that on pause for now. Cycle back to it.
So let me ask you this. Why is the companion different than like changing from a pair of like an animated weapon to another animated weapon?
The only thing that makes it different is the fact that companions cycle their animations to different things. Like, they want to be able to walk and to do their idle and to do different smaller idle animations, like the random attacks they do as they sit there.
Right.
So typically it would work just fine. Like, the reason the weapons work fine is because they have one animation. If it loads in with that animation, it does it forever without any issue. And companions can be the same. They can load in, they can do their idle forever. But once you start walking, and they should start walking, the only way the server can tell that animation to walk for all players to see, it has to swap out the network animator. But the network animator's errors is where this issue comes in.
I see. That's bizarre then.
Not what I expected to happen. I thought you could swap out those animators fine, but I guess once you swap it out, it just immediately produces the errors. Kind of thinking maybe I can do something else where it's like the network animator gets attached to the companion itself instead of the base network player. That way it never technically swaps out, because every companion would just have their own personal one. But we'll have to see if that works out how I picture in my head.
Right. So I did a over 4 hour stream the other night, and it was actually went pretty smooth, other than the stuff that we already knew about, like with the companions and stuff. I didn't find too many other bugs, so that is a good sign, but I did find like a few little things. I thought that you fixed this one because I added it to the sheet, and then I think you removed it or turned it green, and then I removed it, but you go invisible every time someone talks to you. So like if a loon pops up and tells you need to use the auto button or a potion, or if it's the first time seeing like a boss and they talk to you, then you just go invisible for like that battle, and then as soon as that battle's over, it's fine, you're back.
I thought I had fixed that as well. I remember fixing it. I put something in that like got rid of it, and I tested it out and it never happened.
Yeah, I definitely have it on video with it happening again.
Yeah, I'll have to circle back on that and take a look, because it was fixed. There was a point in time where it wasn't happening. So I had to find out what was
It's
wrong.
weird how like you fix stuff and then it like comes up again like in different ways.
Yeah, it's like sometimes it's resolved, but there's some other bug that causes it to happen again.
The other bug, the only other major bug that I had, I was trying to use a potion while I was on the battlefield walking, and I got spotted by a mob, and they like attacked me, and then we went into combat, and it was in auto mode, but I was trying to like double click the potion to like use it, like because I wanted to use it before like I went before the mob spotted me.
Yeah.
And like I double clicked it or whatever, and it like totally froze everything, and I thought it was gonna crash the whole game. And then I just waited for like a couple minutes, maybe. I don't remember how long. It felt like a long time. And then it worked. It started working again. And then whenever the battle was finished, I got do you remember whenever I had like millions of morbid gasps in my inventory and we didn't know where they came from?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that battle, my reward was like 386 million morbid gasps.
Oh, that's a bad bug. Well, I guess useful for the player, but not
yeah, for the
want.
player, they're set for life on crafting materials, but for us, we probably need to fix that.
Yeah, that is an interesting one.
I don't know if they're related. I mean, it seems like it, but I don't know when I got those morbid gasps the last time. But this time it happened, and then I kind of like kept watching my inventory to see if they like went up again, and I kept at that like 386 million number, so it didn't seem like I got any more again.
Such a weird bug.
That's gonna be a tough one for you, I think.
I can't even imagine what happened to give you millions like that.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense like how that could be possible, because you're only ever supposed to get like one. I mean, the most you could get in any battle would be if you ran into like 8 elite mobs at a time, and then you got 8, which would be like the ridiculous, like so unlikely to happen.
You said your game froze. I almost wondered that like the reason it froze was kind of looping over and over and over, adding on one gasp every time it looped. And nothing was happening because it had to do that over 300 million times before it could get back to normal.
Yeah, that's possible. I can't remember if it like froze and then the battle happened and then I got my rewards, or if it froze and then the battle went like super fast and I didn't see it and then I got my reward. We'll have to figure it out. I just thought that was like a funny one.
Funny to see, not fun to fix. Those remind me of some bugs with the double attack, since I was in the process of fixing that last week.
Oh yeah, we decided the double attack should chain. and then you changed it so that they will, and then I'm assuming that they just chained forever and didn't want to stop.
Yeah, it kind of depended, because realistically, you're not going to hit 100, but just in case, I tested for 100 and to make sure that it worked fine. So originally at 100%, you would double attack, and then you would do it again, and again, and again, and you would just keep going on forever. The enemy could be dead, and you would just keep attacking the air. So eventually I got that resolved, but then, like, more issues came up, like if you used a multi-attack, then you would get stuck in endlessly firing, like, missiles or something.
Right.
And I found out that the double attack is incredibly powerful if you use a wand with it.
Oh yeah, that hits like 5 times in a row.
Yep.
It gives you way more chances to double attack.
Just absolutely spamming the missiles. It's great.
Yeah, I actually have been like going through and nerfing some stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that is really powerful like that, and it's not that I don't want those builds to exist, and like, you know, for like, I say it all the time, there's always going to be a best in slot for each item or whatever, you know, there's always going to be a best build, but I don't want the best build to be so far better than everything else that it's like completely broken or whatever. But I've been trying to balance a few things like that, like the wands, they hit a lot more, but they usually have like a higher mana cost, so it kind of balances it out a little bit. And then I went through and nerfed some like items that were giving like crit damage to make them like a little bit more fair, because some of the offhands, like the focus offhand, was giving like way less crit damage than the weapon that like attacks every time you hit. So it was kind of like it was like you always wanted the weapon, then the focus was completely useless, and you know, it was like a filler item. So now I think I got them more in line with each other.
Yeah, balancing stuff like that can be incredibly tough to get right. I feel like it always depends on how you go about it, because players never like to see things get nerfed. So if you start the game where things are either like slightly weaker than they should be or just right, and then players like it, like let's say the magic missile gets buffed to have more damage or something, players will like to see that happen. Yeah. Even if we released it knowing that like this will be weaker than what it might should be.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been trying to keep in mind the whole time, like as I balance stuff. Yeah, I definitely don't want to nerf things once the game goes live. We'll definitely like nerf things during the test realm, I think, because that's kind of what it's going to be for. You know, we'll be able to see like what builds people have and what things end up being broken in the test realm, and then we can balance from there. Because like right now, I just want things to be like the way they are intended. You know, like you always say like working as intended, you know, versus like just broken. So if anybody finds anything super broken in the test realm, we'll probably fix it. Hopefully they tell us about it. Yeah, I want there to be like powerful builds, but I want them to be like things you have to work towards or like really farm for to make them worth getting. You know, if the most powerful thing is like using a common like trash offhand or something because it gives you an extra attack, then something's broken. But
I have definitely seen stuff like that in games before.
Yeah, it definitely happens. You know, it's easy to see like in game design, like especially if you look at like Magic the Gathering. You know, some of the best cards in the game were in like the early sets. You know, like Black Lotus was like in the first set ever printed, and it's like one of the most powerful cards in the entire game, and it's just obvious, you know, they didn't realize how powerful it was going to be until it was printed and people started using it for like crazy stuff.
Some of this stuff comes down to how well can somebody crunch the numbers and really test the theory of what's going to be powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the legendary bow, the Waywin one, the one that gives you dex to physical, I feel like that one could like secretly be a lot stronger than somebody might think, because if you have insane amount of dex in the first place, you already attack more than you would normally. On top of the fact that now would add on to your damage.
Yeah, that's something I need to test. I'm going to mark that down right now.
I'm about to watch it get nerfed.
Yeah, it's possible. I've been thinking about that one because like I think that it may be like I don't know how to word it, which is what makes it hard to like actually nerf, but it gives 10% of your dexterity is added to damage, but if your strength isn't higher than that, then it like won't add it. You see what I'm saying? So like I don't know how to like word it or write down the equation yet to actually do it, but it's like if you don't have a certain amount of strength, then your dex, if 10% of your dex is higher than your strength is, then it caps it or something.
Yeah, like a
just
sort
like
of
forcing you to use it as intended instead of going all. But it might not be broken if you go all dex, because I might try it. If you just go all dex, Waywin bow, no strength items at all, is it broken? Because it might just be like fair.
It could be. Like that damage bonus might just be low enough that it balances out, but it also has the chance of just being ridiculously powerful. Like, let's say you do 5 turns before the enemy goes, but each of those 5 turns is stronger than an average high strength build.
Right.
Then you're starting to get ridiculous with it.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. I should probably test that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, because we're getting close to our recording time limit. Guess not. So I'll start wrapping things up. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you've made it the whole way to the end, we really appreciate your interest in our game. If you're not in our Discord, you definitely need to get in there. You go to knobcat.com, find the link to the Discord, join us there. That you can ask us questions, talk to us. That's where you're going to see posts whenever I go live on Twitch and that kind of things. That's also like the main place that we post the new podcast episodes or like videos. So you definitely want to go there. My Twitch is twitch.tv/StarRambler if you want to follow me. And we also have our social media, Instagram and Twitter, which are both at Dungeons Obelisk. And if you're listening to this podcast and there's a spot where you can leave a review or give us, a couple stars, that would be really great. I know you can do it in Spotify and some of the other places. You can leave iTunes reviews if you're listening that way. So, I'd really appreciate anything like that. And I think that's it. There might be a holiday, so I'm not sure if we'll see you in 2 weeks or in a month, but we'll see you eventually. Yeah, talk to you then. Bye.
See ya.